G'day guys and welcome to Aussie English. My objective here is to teach you guys the English spoken down under. So whether you want to speak like a fair dinkum Aussie or you just want to understand what the flippin' hell we're on about when we're having a yarn, you've come to the right place. So sit back, grab a cuppa and enjoy Aussie English. G'day guys and welcome to the very first episode of Ask Pete Anything. I've set up these episodes so that you guys get to dictate, you get to choose, you get to decide what the episode's about by asking me a specific question. And again, this question can be about me, it can be about the podcast, about English, about Australia, about anything you like, anything that you find interesting, because I want to create resources that answer specific questions you're curious about, but also that you are interested in hearing about and learning about. So it's not always just up to me to decide what I talk about. You guys have a chance to ask me anything you want so that I create an episode about it. So the first question that I received was from Kuong Nguyen Juan. I hope I said that name correctly, Kuong. He said, "Hey Pete, listening to the podcast, I know you live in Melbourne. Could you talk a little bit about this beautiful city?" And he asked me, what is Melbourne famous for, like people, culture, tourist attractions, city life, where to go, where to eat, what's your favourite food, what's your favourite drink, and how would you spend a night in Melbourne? So I'll try and get through as much of this as I can and do it quickly. So a few famous people from Melbourne that you may know are people like Kylie Minogue. She's a famous singer and actress, Kylie Minogue. I just can't get you out of my head. So that's the famous singer and apparently had the world's best bum for a long time, voted the world's best bum. So Kylie Minogue and obviously her sister Danny Minogue. They're both from Melbourne. Other actors such as Hugh Jackman, so Wolverine, Nicole Kidman, I'm sure you know her. She was married to Tom Cruise for a long time. And Kate Blanchett is also from Melbourne, apparently, when I looked these up. So I'm not sure if they still live here at all. I'm sure most of them probably don't. But those guys apparently grew up in or lived in Melbourne for a long time. Tourist attraction-wise, there's quite a lot in Melbourne. I mean, I don't necessarily know all of it and haven't been to all of it, but the Melbourne city centre, so the CBD, is famous for shopping, for music venues, just walking around, checking out the fashion, going to things at night like clubs, like bars, like pubs. It's got a lot of restaurants and cafes, and we're really, really well known for our amazing coffee. Queen Vic Market is another famous place in Melbourne, and this is where I do a lot of my shopping for food, so like fresh produce. So this is a really old market in Melbourne. It's been here for a very long time, and on weekends and weekdays you can go there to buy fish, to buy other kinds of meat, to buy fruit and vegetables, all sorts of things like that. We've got the MCG, which is incredibly famous. That's the Melbourne Cricket Ground and the birthplace of Test cricket, as well as Australian rules football, and it was built in the 1800s, 1853, I think. We have an aquarium, the Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium. We have the museum, so Museum Victoria or Melbourne Museum, which is really awesome. That's where I'm doing my PhD, so you can go there and see all sorts of things regarding Australian history and our life and evolution of dinosaurs and all sorts of things there. There's a really cool old train called Puffing Billy on the Puffing Billy Railway that you can ride on. You can go see different parts of the forest out there. So that train goes through the Dandenong Ranges, which is a mountain range near Melbourne. We also have the Shrine of Remembrance, the Melbourne Zoo. What else? The Werribee Open Range Zoo, where you can see a lot of African animals, such as rhinos and lions. Anyway, yeah, so there's a lot of tourist attractions around. Aside from that, we have amazing food in Melbourne. So if I get to what you were asking about what we eat and where we eat, Melbourne is really cool because there are so many different cultures here. So there are a lot of Italian restaurants, Greek restaurants, French restaurants, Vietnamese restaurants, Japanese, Chinese, Thai restaurants. We have so many immigrants in Melbourne that you can literally pick any kind of food and it's almost certain you'll be able to find a restaurant in the city somewhere that sells that food. We're also really, really well known for our coffee. So I'm not 100% sure why Melbourne has become one of, if not the coffee capital of the world, but it is definitely well known for its good quality coffee. Probably again because we have so many immigrants here from Europe who brought coffee over and have just, for one reason or another, perfected making really, really good coffee. So Melburnians love their coffee. And this goes on to when you're asking what's my favorite drink. I drink a lot of coffee and I love my coffee. Fresh coffee, it's absolutely amazing. Food-wise, again, you can get and eat probably anything here in Melbourne. There's just so much to choose from. It is almost one of those things where, because there are so many different places that you can go and eat, I don't really have any favorite place because it is just so easy to walk down the street and find somewhere else good each day, each time you want to go buy food, that it's a lot easier to do that than to just keep returning to the same place. And if you do that, you tend to find some really amazing stuff. So at the moment, I really, really enjoy getting Japanese food. There's a really nice place in QV, and this is near Melbourne Central, so the centre of the CBD, and there's an amazing Japanese restaurant that I go and get a chicken dish from at the moment that I like, which is pretty good. But again, there's all sorts of other restaurants nearby that I also go to, so it's hard to say. Australian food-wise, again, or at least Melbourne food-wise, it's hard for me to kind of give you a specific single kind of food that we eat because we are just so multicultural in Melbourne. There is just so much to choose from that there really isn't a single dish that I could come up with off the top of my head, apart from maybe fish and chips, which isn't that popular in the center of the city, at least, compared to a lot of other foods because there's just so much to choose from. But if you go out to the coast near the beach, fish and chips is almost certainly one of those dishes and one of those foods you're going to see a lot of shops selling and a lot of people eating, especially on the beach in summer. So fish and chips, that's definitely a stereotypical Aussie meal. It's not just Melburnian or anything, but it's one of my favourite meals as well when I'm down the coast in summer. How would I spend a night in Melbourne? That's a hard one. I think, again, it depends on who I was with and what I was wanting to do. I would probably start in the CBD and walk around, whether we were going to a movie, going to a pub to have a drink, going to watch a sporting game, going to listen to a band. It would all depend on what the other people wanted to do. If it was just me alone, then I would probably go and get some food and a coffee, go see a movie or go to a show. I love St Kilda and the St Kilda sort of promenade. So St Kilda is located near the beach and there's a really long footpath that walks along the beach that you can do, especially at sunset. That's really nice. And then there's a really long pier that goes out across the water from St Kilda Beach that you can walk along. And at the end of it, I really love this part of Melbourne and this pier because there are fairy penguins that nest at the end of the pier. And a fairy penguin is a very, very, very small penguin, a bird, the birds that live in the ocean. And fairy penguins are the smallest species of penguin. And we actually have them in the bay, in Port Phillip Bay, living off the end of that pier. So if you ever want to see them, you can actually go there pretty much any day of the week. And at night, they come up onto the rocks and go into their burrows. And if you go there, I think in spring and early summer, you could see them with their babies. So that's always something cool that you can do in Melbourne. And I would probably do that if I had one night in Melbourne. At the end of the night, I'd probably go there. So some other interesting facts about Melbourne. It has incredibly unpredictable weather. And there's a famous song called 4 Seasons in One Day by a band called Crowded House. So YouTube that if you can. Crowded House, as in there's too many people in the house, it's crowded. And the song is called 4 Seasons in One Day. The reason this is such a Melbourne thing and a Melbourne saying is because we have such variable weather here, and it's not so much that it changes from day to day, but it changes during the day. So you could leave the house and it could be absolutely pouring down rain. It could be raining cats and dogs, as we say in English, but within half an hour, within an hour, it could be incredibly hot, incredibly sunny, not a cloud in the sky. So we have those kinds of changes that happen on a daily basis. Even within a day, you can have it go from rainy to sunny, rainy to sunny, rainy to sunny. And so that's where the saying 4 seasons in one day comes from. What else? Melbourne used to be the capital of Australia for 26 years in the early 1900s, but then it shifted to Canberra. Melbourne has the highest number of Italian and Greek people in the world outside of their own countries. So after the Second World War, we had a lot of Italians and Greek people come to Australia, and particularly they settled in Melbourne. The highest temperature ever recorded in Melbourne was 46.4 degrees Celsius, and this was in 2009. The lowest temperature was negative 2.8 degrees Celsius, and this was in 1869, so quite a while ago. Melbourne's considered Australia's unofficial sporting capital and is the only city in the world with 5 international standard sporting facilities. I didn't know that before looking this up. So obviously we have 5 sporting facilities that could be used for international competitions like the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games and other things like that. Melbourne has the largest tram system outside of Europe and the 4th largest in the world, and this is one of those reasons why Melbourne is often voted the most livable city in the world, because we're renowned, we're really well known for our awesome transport system. So it's really cool, and it's just become free. In the last year, it's become free in the CBD. Melbourne has the oldest privately owned theme park, Luna Park, which you can go and see in St Kilda. As of the year 2013, 38% of Melbourne's residents were born overseas. That blew my mind. That was a shock. I had no idea that so many people who lived in Melbourne were actually born overseas. So that's 40% pretty much. Almost 2 out of every 5 people in Melbourne were born overseas. Also, a person who lives in Melbourne is known as a Melburnian. Around 90 tonnes of dog poo is left on the streets in Melbourne every day. So there's a fact for you, 90 tonnes, that's quite a lot. And Melbourne was originally going to be named Batmania after John Batman, who was the guy who founded Melbourne. So there you go, Batman, eat your heart out. Melbourne holds the world record for highest attendance to a cricket match, with a total of 90,800 spectators going to a cricket match in 1961. There you go, all you cricket fans. The world famous Aussie beer, Foster's Lager, was originally produced in Melbourne, but it was produced here by 2 Americans. So this is something I found funny, because Foster's is the stereotypical Aussie beer that you will find, especially in places like America and Canada. And yet, no one drinks it here in Australia, at least no one I know drinks Foster's, and it's incredibly hard to find. And 2, it was invented by Americans and not Melburnians or Australians. So I found that amusing. The first ever set of traffic lights was installed in Melbourne. I didn't know that before looking this up. And the world's largest stained glass ceiling is located in Melbourne's National Gallery of Victoria. So I didn't know that either. A stained glass window or ceiling is where you have glass that's been stained with different pigments or colours, and that often, I think it has lead rims kind of in the window to make pictures. So you'll see them in churches quite a bit. That's a stained glass window, and obviously it's a ceiling in this case. Until the year 1966, pubs in Melbourne closed down at 6 p.m, so 6 in the afternoon. This was something interesting because most people would probably not even go to a pub until 6 p.m. these days. The ever-popular Australian sport of Aussie Rules Football, or Aussie Rules Footy, AFL, was invented in Melbourne, and this is a reason why Melbourne has so many teams in the AFL. So the AFL has something like 19 or 20 teams these days, but almost half, if not more than half, I haven't counted them, are from Melbourne. So you've got North Melbourne, Carlton, St Kilda, Melbourne, all these different teams from this area, and then there's a few speckled around Australia in the capitals elsewhere. Melbourne has the highest number of restaurants and cafes per person than any other city in the world. Didn't know that one either, but I'm not surprised. And according to the Crimes Act of 1958, if you meet up with a pirate in Melbourne, you're not allowed to trade with them. So there's a bizarre law that is still in effect. If you meet a pirate, so someone who says, matey, and has an eye patch and a wooden leg and has a sword and sails on the seven seas, if you meet one of them in Melbourne, you're not allowed to trade with them. So there you go. And aside from that, one last interesting thing about Melbourne was that it was voted most livable city 5 times in a row, apparently, from the year 2010 to the year 2015. So that's everything that I can really think of about Melbourne, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any other questions that you want me to answer in an Ask Pete Anything episode. Again, they can be questions about anything you want. Even if I don't know them personally at the moment, I'm more than happy to try and Google them and find out interesting information about whatever it is that you've asked me so that I can create an episode about that thing and so you have content that is interesting to you. So let me know, guys, and until I talk to you next time, I'll hopefully chat to you on Facebook or see you on the website. Have a good one. Thanks for listening to the Aussie English podcast, guys. If you haven't already, please come and join the community on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the Aussie English podcast, where I make daily posts about anything and everything related to Australia. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, then please leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher or whichever platform you're listening to it through, as it'll help the podcast grow. Thanks again, guys, and enjoy your day.